Hi, my name is Jake, and I am a bookish drummer. All right, I'm back. Yes. Welcome back to a very late episode of Stephen King novella ranking. I, I don't even remember what number this is. I think it's 5. I think I've done 4 so far, so I think this is episode 5. I know this is the start of like my new tier, so this is kind of like the middle tier novellas. And of course, I'll link down the rest of the series that I've done so far for my Stephen King novella rankings. Like I've said, I think I've done 4, and those were all ranked, I think, 33 through 21. And today I'm going to talk about 4 novellas that are ranked 20 through 16. So, yeah, it's been a long time coming because I was initially rereading a lot of Stephen King novellas, but I kind of hit a wall and I kind of took a break from rereading them. And so I really wanted to make sure that I reread them and that they were ranked properly the way that I envisioned the list. So I put the series on hold, and a lot of people have been asking me, hey, when are you going to do the novella ranking series again? And I kind of felt guilty because I kind of just stopped doing them. So I'm back. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So kicking off this video with number 20, we're going to have the titular story from Hearts in Atlantis, aka Hearts in Atlantis. So yeah, it's a novella. So this novel is weird because it's not a novel and it's not a collection. It's what's called like a mosaic novel, where basically you take a bunch of stories that are kind of related to each other and kind of it's weird. But basically you got 2 novellas at the start and then it ends with 3 short stories. And so 2 of the novellas are actually going to be in this video, which means that they're kind of like in the middle ranking of novellas, right? Like they're pretty good. They're not like all-time greats, but they're definitely not at the bottom of the barrel. Like these are both pretty good. And the one that I'm talking about right now for number 20 is the title story, Hearts in Atlantis. And basically what this novella in particular is about, it's about these college kids who are in college, like in the mid to late 60s. Like I'm pretty sure it's during the Vietnam War. And I'll be honest, I reread this like a few months ago in preparation for doing the novella ranking. But I'll be honest, I don't remember too much about it. And I didn't want to go back and reread it again. But from what I remember, it was pretty good. And it's probably not doing it any service that I don't remember a lot about it. Like, I think initially I was going to rank it higher. But for it to be like all-time great or even like really good, it has to leave a lasting impression, right? And like I said, I only read this like a couple months ago, but I don't remember too much about it. I mean, I do remember that it's college kids and that it's just them kind of talking. And I think they play this game Hearts. And yeah, like it doesn't have a lot going on, but I did remember enjoying it. Like the characters were good enough. It just didn't leave that much of an impression on me. This is probably not a good way to start my comeback for this series. Oh yeah, Hearts in Atlantis. I don't know jack shit about it. But yeah, I mean, I can just kind of flip through here and just I mean, yeah, it's got good characters and it read really quickly. I'm pretty sure I read it in one go, like one sitting. But yeah, for it to be like an all-time favorite, it's gotta leave a lasting impression. And trust me, a lot of the novellas way down the road for this list I've read years and years ago, but I still have like a crystal clear image in my mind of like what happens in those stories. But for this one, Hearts in Atlantis, it's good. It's definitely worth reading. I would give this whole entire book a shot because it's a great book. But not one of his best, simply because it's kind of forgettable. And for number 19 on the list, this one I really struggled with because it's really good. Like, it's a really good novella. But at the same time, the subject matter of it is really hard to read because it's super dark and depressing and just very visceral. Like, I'll get into it. It's from the collection Full Dark No Stars, and it is Big Driver. Now, for anyone who hasn't read Big Driver or they don't know what it's about, it's basically a rape revenge tale, which normally doesn't work for me just because it just feels so exploitive. Like, I really don't want to read about that or really watch it because there's a lot of horror movies like that that are like basically rape revenge tales where it's just so depressing. It's just like, I don't want to watch this. But, in true King fashion, the novella is terrific. Like, it's really good. The main character in here is really good, very sympathetic, and just what happens to her is horrific, and just her figuring out what exactly happened and her kind of getting her revenge is great. But it's not one of those kind of novellas that I want to go and reread over and over again because it's just it's so depressing. But again, it's written very well. So yeah, I had a really hard time ranking this because probably if I was just going off of like objective ranking, it'd be a lot higher. But subjectively, even though it was really good, I just don't see myself rereading it too often because it's very depressing. But yeah, big Driver. Definitely go and read it if, and trigger warning, by the way, if you don't want to read a rape revenge tale, don't read that story. Yeah, I would go check it. I would go check this whole novella collection out. And funny enough, this is the first novella from this collection in the ranking. So you definitely know that there's going to be a couple more from this collection in the series. So be on the lookout for that. But for now, number 19, Big Driver. Very good, but very depressing and not a lot of rereadability for me personally. Now, number 18 on the list, speaking of Hearts in Atlantis, we're going to talk about the other novella in here, the one that starts out the story, Low Men in Yellow Coats. Let's see if I can get the title. Low Men in Yellow Coats. Now, this one is pretty good. And when I was originally coming up with the list, I had it a lot higher. And I can remember the first time I read it really enjoying it because I didn't really know where the story was going to go and like what exactly was going on. So I remember liking it a lot more than I did the second time. The second time I still enjoyed it. It was pretty good, but knowing what the story is, I think hinders it a little bit. Like, I think it's one of those stories, like the first time you read it, it's great. But then the second time you're like, it's okay. And I think one of the things that hinders it a little bit is its length. Because even though it's a novella, it's like 300 pages, which really this could have been just a standalone novel. Like, this is like a 650 page book. Like, this is the first novella. This part right here. Like, That's a novel. Like, what are you talking about? But yeah. So it's quite long, and it took me a while to read it. Like it's not a novella that you can just plow through in one sitting. Like it takes multiple sittings, unless you're a very fast reader. But yeah, it was pretty. Oh yeah, I haven't even said what it's about. Uh, it's kind of hard to explain. I will, you know what I will, what I will say instead of like giving a plot synopsis, it is very heavily tied to the Dark Tower. Now, those aspects I really enjoy. It's got a character that shows up in the later books. So if you've read The Dark Tower and you haven't read Hearts in Atlantis, you might get a kick out of it because it's straight up got a character from from the it's straight up got a character from the novella in here. So yeah, so if you're a big Dark Tower fan, I would say it's a must, and it's very interesting. And the ending is, I will say, the ending is very good. The character gets an envelope, and it has something inside of it, and yeah, it's yeah, not too much to say about this one either, other than it is pretty good. It's just a little long for a novella. Like honestly, like he could have just maybe like lengthened it out a little bit, and it could have just been a novel. It's 300 pages. That's a short novel. But anyway, that's just semantics. Hearts in or not Hearts in Atlantis. Low, Mid, and Yellow Coats, pretty good. And like I said, it's in the middle tier, so it's not like all time great. But again, it's not bad either. It's pretty good. All right, and last but certainly not least, number 17 for this video and for this ranking, we have the last novella in this collection, For Past Midnight. And if you've read this collection and if you've watched the series before, you can probably guess which one it is. We've already had The Langoliers, which I think was in my last novella ranking video. So that was somewhere in the 20s. And then the other two novellas I wasn't a huge fan of. The Library Policeman I thought was kind of silly. The Sundog didn't leave that much of a good impression on me, and I didn't like it too much. And like I said, The Langoliers was very good. But, by far, the best... Ooh, found a bookmark randomly. By far the best novella in this collection is Secret Window, Secret Garden. So that's number 17 on the list. And originally I had this lower on the list, like I think probably in the mid to high 20s. So it was relatively low on the list, but rereading it, I had a blast. And probably because of the audiobook. And for those of you who don't know, a lot of like random Stephen King audiobooks are narrated by just like random celebrities. And Secret Window, Secret Garden is narrated by James Woods, of all people. Why? I couldn't tell you. But he did a fantastic job. Like, he committed. He committed to an audiobook, which was awesome. And yeah, it's for a novella, it's very like it's a very perfect novella length. Like it's like a little over 100 pages. It's very good. It's very fast paced. And like I said, James Woods' narration was fantastic. And it might sound like I'm praising this, and you might be wondering like, why isn't it higher? You sound like you really enjoyed it. It's got one glaring issue, and that the whole novella kind of hinders on this twist. Like it does have a very good twist that's very clever, I guess you could say. But at the same time, it was super easy to predict it because there's a glaring scene in like the middle of the audiobook or in the novella where like anyone with half a brain could figure out what's going on. And it's like if you didn't include that scene, the twist would have been like way harder to predict. And like he actively chose to put that scene in there. And it's just like, you gave it away, dude. Like you gave away the twist. It was so obvious after that. So that was my main complaint. But it's still really good, and I had a blast reading it. It's just like, the whole thing kind of hinders, like I said, it hinders on the twist. And while it is a very fun twist and it's very Stephen King-esque, I just wish he would have wrote it a bit differently. Like, he just gave it away. Like, it starts out really good. You're like, what's happening? What's it? And then boom, it's just like, oh. But then he kind of continues on as if you don't know what's going on, and you're just like, uh, but yeah, number 17 is Secret Window, Secret Garden. I had a blast reading it. It's really good, but it's not ruined, but it's like you kind of figure out what's going on very quickly. And yeah, number 17, Secret Window, Secret Garden. All right, so that concludes episode 5 of my Stephen King ranking novella series. This has been a long time coming, and I definitely plan on continuing this series. Again, I'm very sorry for taking this long of a break, but the main issue, well, there's two main issues. I kind of hit a wall with rereading the novellas. I've reread a lot of them, but there's still a lot more I have to read, and just I forget when my last episode was, but I just kind of hit a wall. I was like, I need to stop reading Stephen King. This is too much. And then, of course, the other one was December. I work for the Postal Service, and December is a very busy time for us. So not only did I not have time to do this video in this series, I didn't really have time to do any videos. So now it's January, so it's dialed back a bit. So I have more time to film. So I figured I might as well go ahead and get this series back up and running. And I'm very excited for it because now with this episode, we're halfway through and we have 5 more episodes left. And we have 16 more novellas to talk about. So we're going to get 2 more videos in kind of the middle tier that are like really good novellas, but they're not my top 10. They're not my top 10 all-time favorite Stephen King novellas. And that'll be episodes 8, 9, and 10. And yes, very excited for those. So yes, I am very glad to be back with this series, and hopefully y'all will continue to join me. Thank you so much for watching. And of course, let me know what you guys thought of my rankings so far. And of course, I'll have the past videos linked down below. I'll probably just go ahead and make a playlist for them. And let me know what you guys thought of these novellas yourself. If you've read them, or if you're interested in trying them out based on what I've said about them, please let me know down in the comments. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my YouTube channel and the Bookish Drummer Discord. And if you'd like to further support me, go check out my Patreon, and you can see what that's all about. That's just a further way you can support me financially. Of course, you don't have to, but if you want to, you can go check that out and see what kind of extra perks you can gain by doing so. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much for watching, and have a terrific day.